Yo, what is good, guys? Welcome back to another video where today we'll be speaking about the Game Week 3 Premier League matches and predicting them as usual. So we got some very good games this week, so let's get straight into it. Now we have Arsenal versus Brighton in the first game. That's going to be a very good game. So let's get started with Arsenal. Arsenal are looking very good so far this season. They beat Aston Villa last game 2-0 and got revenge from their last season loss. Saliba and Saka have been very important in that team. I do believe we need to sign either a striker or a left winger this summer, but I don't think it's gonna happen, unfortunately. We look like a completely different team once again this season. So both teams are unbeaten so far in the league, so it's gonna be a very good one. Let's move on to Brighton. This team is also balling out, doing very well under their new manager. They managed to win against Manchester United 2-1. João Pedro came in clutch, getting the winning goal, and he will be a huge player for them this season. Mitoma is also back as well. He might give us some problems, and one team will either get 1 point from this game or will drop points completely. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Arsenal. Moving on to Nottingham Forest versus Wolves. This could be a very interesting game, so let's get started with Forest. So far, they have started quite well this season. Last game, they got a win against newly promoted side Southampton, and Gibbs White getting the winning goal in that match. He is such a baller, honestly. They got quite a few in that squad, but this team is more, I would say, of a counter-attacking team. They sit back, then counter is how they usually play. Moving on to Wolves. They have had a rough start to the season, bit of a rough one, as they faced Chelsea and Arsenal in their first two games. They lost 2-0 to Arsenal, and Chelsea just absolutely slapped them 6-2 in their last game, so it's very rough defensively for them. And in this match, they do have a chance to turn it around. They lost Pedro Neto to Chelsea, and I think Cunha will be a very key player for them this season. And my prediction is going to be a 1-1 draw between those two. Moving on to Leicester versus Aston Villa. This should be a decent match. So let's get started with Leicester. They have started the season decent. To be fair, they surprisingly got a draw against Spurs, but then they went into the second game week and lost to Fulham. And obviously we know they are a newly promoted side. Vardy already scoring in the Premier League, and they could be doing well this season for sure. Hopefully they do. Moving into Aston Villa, they have started this season not too bad as well. Unai Emery has a great squad assembled. Brought in Onana, who has been great for them. They did not do too well as they lost 2-0 to Arsenal in their last game, and Watkins did miss quite a few shots on goal as well. And this game, I believe, should be a good one for Aston Villa. I think my prediction is going to be that they win 3-1 to Aston Villa. Moving on to Ipswich versus Fulham. This game could go either way, to be fair, so let's get started with Ipswich. They're looking not too bad this season. They have had one of the toughest starts to the season. They had to play Man City and Liverpool, which is pretty crazy for your first two games back in the Premier League. And from what I've seen, they are playing quite decent. They can continue to do well. They could turn it around in this match right here. On to Fulham. they are doing not too bad this season, honestly. Emil Smith-Rowe is a signing they got from Arsenal, and Fulham played very well against Man United, but lost 1-0. Now, they won their second game against Leicester 2-1, as I mentioned before, and I think they will do well or better this season than the last. And they have pretty decent players in this side as well. So my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Fulham. Moving on to Brentford versus Southampton. This should be another good one. So let's get started with Brentford. They have been alright so far. They started their season very, very good with a surprising 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. Then in the second game, they lost to Liverpool 2-0. And Mbeumo and Wissa, very good players for that team. And this season, I think they are looking a lot better. Well, so far, because they only played 2 matches so far. Moving on to Southampton, newly promoted team from the Championship, but not a good start to the season for them. They lost both of their starting games, losing 1-0 to Newcastle and 1-0 to Forest. They are back in the Premier League, but it is not going too well so far. So we got to see a bit more from this team, honestly, because we only saw like 2 matches so far. So they can definitely turn it around if they want to. Now, my prediction is going to be a 2-0 win for Brentford. Moving on to Everton versus Bournemouth. This is going to be a very good game. So let's get started with Everton. They have had an awful start to this season. They have played some great teams. I'm not going to lie. They lost to Brighton 3-0 and Spurs 4-0. I feel like attacking-wise, Everton are not too good. Calvert-Lewin, I have not seen that guy score in so long. And I would say they are more of a defensive team. On to Bournemouth, they have started the season not too well. And they got 2 draws in their first 2 games. Their main striker, Solanke, made the move to Tottenham. So right away, they went and signed Ivan Nilsson from Porto. Overall, I think this team looks pretty decent and they could do pretty well. And my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Bournemouth. Moving on to West Ham versus Manchester City. This is going to be a very, very good game. So let's get started with West Ham. They're looking not too bad this season. They have 1 draw and a loss so far, so it's not a ideal start for them. But last match they got a 2-0 win against Palace. Bowen scoring, and he continues to ball out for the Hammers. They are looking quite good though, especially with the new signings they have brought in. Moving on to Manchester City, the reigning champions from the past 4 seasons. Absolutely incredible. And they are looking quite dangerous already. Haaland got a hat-trick against Ipswich. He is for sure going to get that golden boot. And I believe Doku is another player we should watch out for this season, as I think he will do very well. And Man City are hands down the title contenders without a doubt this season for sure. And my prediction is going to be a high scoring 3-2 win for Manchester City. Now we have Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, another amazing match right here. So let's get started with Chelsea. Chelsea are doing alright this season. They started the season not too well though. Like, they managed to lose 2-0 against Manchester City. Rough game to start though for the season, but the second match they slapped Wolves 6-2. Madueke getting a hat-trick is absolutely insane. They looked very, very good in that match. Moving into Crystal Palace, very rough start to the season for them. They lost both of their first 2 games, and now this is one against Chelsea, which will be another rough one. Maybe they might be missing Elise quite a bit, but they still have Eze and Mateta. Well, I am sure both those players will turn up very soon, and it might take some time to get into the style of play that they were playing towards the end of the season last season. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Now moving on to Newcastle versus Tottenham. A very, very good game. Another unbelievable game coming up. So let's get started with Newcastle. They have started their season quite well. No losses for them. Only a win and a draw. So last game they managed to draw versus Bournemouth. And I mean, they should have lost that game if we're being honest, because VAR had multiple goals disallowed for Bournemouth. But Isak is going to be a baller once again this season. I just feel it. And on to Tottenham. Decent start to the season for them so far. Undefeated so far with a win and a draw. They started kind of slow with a draw versus Leicester, but then the last game that they played, they won 4-0 versus Everton, and that is a good way to bring it back. And Son is, of course, a key player in that team. Van de Ven seems like a very, very good center back as well. And I'm not gonna lie, their style of play is quite nice under Ange Postecoglou. Now my prediction is gonna be a 3-1 win for Tottenham. Now the last and final game, this one is huge. Manchester United versus Liverpool. Biggest game of the week. So let's get started with Manchester United. Man United are looking alright. They won their first game 1-0 against Fulham. Then they went on to lose to Brighton 2-1 in their second game. Joao Pedro getting a very late goal to win it for Brighton, and Rashford just seems like he is not on it this season, but Ahmad performing very, very well, getting a goal last game, but unfortunately they did lose that game, and Bruno needs to work on his finishing as well, honestly, because in front of goal this season so far he has not been too good, and they have now signed Ugarte as their new CDM, so I think Casemiro will probably get benched as he is getting up there in age. Moving into Liverpool, they're looking very good. They seem so calm and confident in their play. Slot has them playing very, very well. This game will be a test for both sides as well. And Chiesa has made the move to Liverpool as well, so that is a very, very good signing for them. He will probably play right wing. Maybe he could play up top. He could play anywhere in the front line, honestly. So very, very solid move. Only for 13 million as well. That is a steal. And the whole of Liverpool's attack is flowing very nicely. So it is looking quite dangerous for defenses this season. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Liverpool. Now thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment down below all your predictions, and I will check them out. And don't forget to subscribe as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.